What is up, everybody? This is Bacon Chris here, and today is going to be a brand new video. And today's video is going to be my top 25 roller coasters that I've ridden. And it's been since 2018 or 2019 since I did a top 10. But with my top 10s this time, instead of using Prezi or PowerPoint, I got some great footage. And footage from some of my other favorite YouTubers and fans with their permission, too. So, I decided to do 25 because there's a lot of interesting roller coasters that I've ridden during the past few years of my life. And one of the theme parks, Cedar Point, has never been on an actual episode of Bacon Chris Adventures. So, let's begin the top 25. Coming in at number 25, I got Batman the Ride at Six Flags Great Adventure. Batman the Ride is an inverted roller coaster by Bolliger and Malibard, and it's one of the first inverted B&M clones. And this coaster happens to show up at every single Six Flags theme park as Batman the Ride. Even though the layout can be very boring a bit, it's still a good layout because it has 5 inversions and it makes you feel like you're flying in the Batmobile and your legs kicking is like kicking the criminals in Gotham City. Good ride, good theme. Batman is one of my favorite superheroes, along with Green Lantern, Superman, and Flash. A lot of other Marvel superheroes as well. Coming in at number 24 is the Great NorEaster at Maury's Piers in Wildwood, New Jersey. And it is an inverted roller coaster by Vekoma. And this coaster, unlike other Vekoma SLCs, has a different layout. And part of the layout is similar to what you see on regular Vekoma SLCs. But what I like about this roller coaster is that you go up the lift hill and you get these great views of the Atlantic Ocean. And I love the seats. The seats are very comfortable too. They used to have bulky harnesses, but then they got replaced with shoulder restraint harnesses, like the vest ones you see on B&M flying coasters and stuff. And when I got on the ride for the first time, it was very rough. But then in 2017, Maury's Piers invested a lot of money on replacing all the track with smooth track, and that made this ride a more fun experience. Coming in at number 23 is Steel Force at Dorney Park in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And Steel Force is a hyper roller coaster by Morgan, and this is one of my childhood favorite roller coasters. One of my first ever big roller coasters. And it is a lot of fun. You go up a lift hill that's 200 feet, and then you drop down into a tunnel, and then a big hill, and then you go through a helix, and then another tunnel, and it's just a great ride. It's a classic ride for families to enjoy and perfect for kids who want to ride their very first big roller coaster. Coming in at number 22 is Oscar's Wacky Taxi at my home park, Sesame Place in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. Unlike other wooden coasters that are for little kids, this is really the best one out there. And this roller coaster is by Gravity Group, and the seats there are super comfortable, and the theming around this coaster is great. This coaster is themed to a taxi station, and I like that giant tunnel as part of the layout. And that giant tunnel is like being in the Holland Tunnel or whatever other tunnels there are in New York City too. This is like the fastest ride ever at Sesame Place. And it's a great coaster, worth re-riding over and over again. And I gotta say, it's my favorite kiddie coaster of all time. Coming in at number 21 is Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia. And this coaster is a hybrid coaster, which is by RMC, which stands for Rocky Mountain Construction. And this coaster is themed to an apple orchard. You climb onto a car and you go through twists and turns. It's really an intense RMC, but in a good speed too. And this roller coaster right there is my 100th roller coaster that I ever ridden. It's a must ride to ride on when you go to King's Dominion. Coming in at number 20 is Green Lantern at Six Flags Great Adventure. And it is a stand-up coaster from B&M. Now, a lot of people really hate stand-up coasters because it hurts their legs and stuff. Well, it does hurt my legs too, but I really enjoyed this ride, and it's one of the best stand-up roller coasters out there. Unlike traditional stand-up coasters, which has 2 inversions, this one has 5 inversions, and mid-course brake run. I do like mid-course brake runs. It's themed around aircraft area, just like in the 2011 Green Lantern movie starring Ryan Reynolds. It's a great coaster, honestly, and one of the best stand-up coasters that I've ever been on. So, if you want to ride a stand-up coaster, I recommend riding the Green Lantern at Six Flags Great Adventure. Coming in at number 19 is Manta at SeaWorld Orlando in Orlando, Florida. And Manta is a B&M flying roller coaster. And it's actually the best flying roller coaster I've ever been on. You go through a big pretzel loop, some inversions, and what I really love about this roller coaster is the splashdown. You don't get wet on it, but it's still something cool to look at when you're not riding the coaster. And you gotta love the queue line, because the queue line is filled with aquarium, with manta rays and stuff. And you literally feel like you're flying with the rays in the ocean. It's a great coaster to ride. I love it. The best flying coaster there is. And SeaWorld is truly the roller coaster capital of Orlando. Coming in at number 18 is the Veloca coaster over at Universal's Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. Veloca coaster is a Intamin multi-launch coaster. I think it's a Intamin Blitz, where it has these many launches. But this coaster goes really fast, and it has great versions, such as that underflip and the barrel roll all over the lagoon. It's a great ride at Universal. This coaster is worth riding in the front row because you get great views and you get this great action. I mean, with the lap bars feel very comfortable too. Coming in at number 17 is Raptor at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. Raptor is a B&M inverted roller coaster. And on this roller coaster, you go through 6 inversions, such as a vertical loop and a cobra roll, which is a first on a B&M inverted roller coaster. I love this coaster riding the front seat. And I love the top of the lift hill, where you can look at Lake Erie from above. It kind of reminds me of the Great NorEaster, too, once you ride it. And the layout is so amazing and large, too. With the green track and the blue supports, this is one of the best upside-down roller coasters at Cedar Point. Coming in at number 17 is Grizzly at King's Dominion. And Grizzly is a wooden coaster. I think it's by GCI, because they replaced their track with smooth track. And I gotta tell you, it's one of the best wooden roller coasters that I've ever been on. It's the best because you go through the woods in both the queue and throughout most of the ride too. And you can really hear the roar of the wood, kind of like the grizzly bear roars. And you go into a tunnel, too. Yes, I love tunnels on a roller coaster. That's just what makes the coaster more fun to ride. And this is a ride worth riding over and over again. The best wooden coaster there is. Great theming, and the great scenery around it, too. I love the trees around the coaster. That's just what makes the coaster fun. Coming in at number 15 is Sky Rush at Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And this coaster is an Intamin like hyper coaster with a cable. Hershey Park has 2 hyper coasters, such as Canobie, which is the other one, but that's by B&M, which is also a good ride. But Sky Rush has this really weird looking seats, and like two of the seats would be winged, and while the other 2 are like in the middle too. And I just love the wings style. I like seats that are winged and floorless too. And I like how you on the ride you go over a layout filled with sprinklers and roads and all over the wooden coaster comets, which is a fun experience too. Fast speed is the great way to enjoy a roller coaster. Coming in at number 14 is Pantheon at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And Pantheon is a multi-launch roller coaster by Intamin with 4 launches. I think it's 3 launches. And one of the launches takes you through a backward spike. And that's really fun. I've also been on Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando. But Pantheon has like inversion. And this coaster is like having a battle with the gods too. But what this roller coaster does is launches you up a hill and it goes over a Velocicoaster upside down inversion too. Long hang time too. But still a great ride too. And the landscaping around the area looks really nice as well. For number 13 would be the Incredible Hulk roller coaster over at Universal's Islands of Adventure. It is a B&M launch coaster. It's a sit-down model. And it used to be the first and only sit-down launch coaster by B&M. And now there's other launch B&M coasters now. When you ride this coaster, it has this awesome soundtrack. This music is really properly fitting for this coaster. Coming in at number 12 is Intimidator 305 by King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia. And that coaster is an Intamin Giga coaster. And this coaster was inspired by Dale Earnhardt. So on this coaster, you actually get onto a racing car. You go up a really high lift hill of 305 feet. One of the most aggressive roller coasters that I've ridden in the state of Virginia. Coming in at number 11 is Wildcat's Revenge over at Hershey Park. And this roller coaster is really one of the best RMCs that I've ridden. And this coaster has 4 inversions and a really cool looking train with the Wildcat on the design. The artists did a great job designing the train. Coming in at number 10 is ElToro at Six Flags Great Adventure. And this is far by my number 1 favorite wooden roller coaster of all time. This coaster is by Intamin. And this wooden roller coaster uses a cable lift instead of a traditional lift hill. And the cable lift goes really fast. And you're even fast in action when you go through the layout, go through the twists and turns. This is really one bull you don't want to mess with. And I've been going on this ride many times with Colin, Phil, Tom, and Johnny, too. El Toro, muy bueno. And I love the theming around there. I love the theming of the bull and the Spanish-Mexican stuff around the park. Rated one of the best wooden roller coasters there is. Even though Phoenix is number 1 over at Canobie's. Coming in at number 9 is Gatekeeper over at Cedar Point. And Gatekeeper is a B&M wing coaster. And this coaster, I love the seats, the way they're designed too. Seats are very comfortable, and there's nothing above you or below you. And this is the first and only wing coaster that I've ever been to. In the lift hill, I get this really nice cool breeze from Lake Erie. Really nice. And then when you get to the top, you go upside down 6 times. And for one of the inversions, you go through keyholes over at the park entrance. Coming in at number 8 is Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And this roller coaster is the very first B&M hyper coaster. And this coaster has great theming, and the coaster train does look a bit similar to a chariot. But the front part of the train is well designed, and the artists put a lot of detail onto the front car. Does feel like you're actually in Apollo's Chariot. And with the clamshell harnesses holding onto it, it does make you feel like you have reins to control the horses a bit. This roller coaster has a great layout. You go over the lake twice, and you go through one tunnel, and the scenery there, oh, it's so amazing. It's a great ride, great roller coaster. Has a great fast speed too. Coming in at number 7 is Monu at Busch Gardens, Tampa, in Tampa Bay, Florida. And this is the best B&M inverted roller coaster I've ever been on. Yes, it has a tunnel. I do like tunnels. And this ride goes through 7 inversions, and it goes through like an Egyptian area. And it makes you feel like you're in the Egyptian desert. And I love the Batwing element too. It's similar to a Cobra roll. But this roller coaster goes really high, really fast, and it's one of the best out there in the state of Florida. Coming in at number 6 is Millennium Forest at Cedar Point. And this roller coaster is the first Giga Coaster. It's an Intamin Giga Coaster, and it goes up 310 feet. And it was the first ever roller coaster to use a cable lift. And when you ride this roller coaster, you get a great view of Lake Erie and the park from above. Once you hit the drop, it goes really fast. And then you go through 2 tunnels. This ride, it has been rated the number 1 best steel roller coaster in the world. The lines are long, but it's worth waiting. Coming in at number 5 is Medusa over at Six Flags Great Adventure. And this is actually the first B&M floorless coaster. And this coaster goes through 7 inversions, and you go through fog too. Old Western theme. And I do remember riding this coaster when it was called Bizarro. And I rode Bizarro many times. And I remember it used to have like some audio, and then they got rid of it back in 2013. I love the fire. The fire is like really cool to have that special effect on a roller coaster. But if Medusa has the fire back again, I would be very happy. And it is my favorite roller coaster over at Six Flags Great Adventure. Coming in at number 4 is Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. And it is my number 1 favorite B&M hypercoaster. This roller coaster goes 200 and some feet up in the air. Most of the layout actually goes through a pond of water and up and back hills too, which feel really forceful, really smooth, and really intense too. It doesn't have a splashdown or a tunnel, but I do like tunnels on a roller coaster. It's still one of the best out there. Mako is named after the fastest shark in the ocean. And it's a number 1 great ride I would ride at SeaWorld, along with all their other roller coasters. Coming in at number 3 is Iron Guazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa. And it is an RMC Hybrid, my favorite RMC roller coaster of all time. And this roller coaster is over 200 feet, goes through great inversions, and the death roll, it's one of the best out there. And sometimes going on this coaster can make you feel uncomfortable. But I actually love this ride. And I can see why a lot of people love Iron Guazi. One of the best hybrids out there. And this is intense than Wildcat's Revenge and Twisted Timbers. Coming in at number 2 is Maverick at Cedar Point. And this is my favorite launch coaster of all time. It's an Intamin Blitz, and this coaster has a pretend lift hill, but it's actually a launch, which pretends to be a lift hill. Then you go through canyons, airtime hills, 2 inversions, which are really neat. And I love the tunnel under the station. It's like, hope I'm okay. Uh-oh. And then it launches you out, and then you go over the Swan Pond, water bombs come. That's what's really great about this coaster. This coaster has excellent theming. And the Old West was never this wild. And for my number 1 coaster of all time is Kraken at SeaWorld Orlando. And it's a B&M floorless coaster. My favorite of all time. Really smooth. Has these 7 great inversions. And the layout's excellent. You got the 2 vertical loops, 0G, a dive loop, 1 corkscrew, and a cobra roll. And a mid-course brake run. And don't forget, tunnels. I love tunnels. Like having a dark, scary scene around there. So, with this roller coaster, it's my favorite because of all the intensity and the floors dropping and stuff, too, that you see on other floorless coasters. This is a great ride in the state of Florida, and a great ride to beat the heat. And plus, B&M does a very good job with manufacturing their roller coasters. This is a must ride every time I go to SeaWorld Orlando. So that's about it for this video, and thank you for watching this video. This was a video that I've been wanting to do for such a long time. And I want to give special thanks to all the people who allowed me to borrow some of their footage for the top 10s, because I don't have the Cedar Point footage, which I will be getting one day. And let me know in the comments what your favorite roller coasters are on. And I will see you guys all in the next adventure.